Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. We've got a cracking show for you today. Yes, we've got this crazy interview that's come out by Solskjaer. He's given to The Athletic and he's lifted the lid on Manchester United and what has been going on and what his time was like at Manchester United. He has made some crazy comments and statements within this interview and we're going to take a look at each and every one of those and see what it actually means for Manchester United going forward. We're also going to be looking ahead at the game tonight, which is against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Huge game for Erik ten Hag and his team. It's going to be a busy, crazy show today, so sit back and relax and enjoy the show. But before we actually go and do that, make sure you hit the like button on this video, and if you're new to the Man United stream channel, go ahead and subscribe. We give you all the latest news on Manchester United and more, and opinions from the world of football, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. So let's jump in today's show with this sensational interview that's been given by Solskjaer to Andy Mitten of The Athletic, and it actually has been sending social media into complete meltdown. This interview and what's coming out and the statements that are coming out and the quotes that have been released from this interview are absolutely crazy. And this interview by Solskjaer lifts the lid on Manchester United and what is going on there right now. It is crazy. He lets us know about the players and he lets us know what's going on behind the scenes with the Glazers. So let's jump straight into this and let's read a couple of quotes that have coming out on this statement. In one of the extracts from the interview, Solskjaer says, "We couldn't buy the players I mentioned to the club." Then the interview says, "Players like..." Ollie says, "Erling Haaland before he made his Salzburg debut, Declan Rice, who wouldn't have cost what he did in the summer. We discussed Moises Caicedo, but we felt we needed players ready for there and then. Brighton are very good at letting players come from abroad and find their feet for a year and a half. At United, we don't have that luxury, and that has cost the club loads of players." Solskjaer goes on in the interview to state the following: "Bringing Cristiano Ronaldo back was a decision that was difficult to turn down, and I felt we had to take it. But it turned out wrong." In what way is Solskjaer saying this turned out wrong? We're thinking that it could be down to his ego and problems with Cristiano Ronaldo and it upsetting the dressing room. It could be that, not because of the goals and what he did for Manchester United whilst he was under Solskjaer. It felt so right when he signed, and the fans felt that at Newcastle game when Old Trafford was rocking. Solskjaer also lifted the lid on some players that were not happy with not being played enough by Solskjaer in the team that he was playing. He goes on to state, "Some players felt they should have played more. When I didn't start games, I wanted to prove the manager that he didn't make the right decision. Today, a lot of players aren't like that. Agents and family members get in their heads and tell them they're better than they are. It's a disease of modern football." Wow, so we have just witnessed this kind of behaviour from Jadon Sancho, from Harry Maguire, where they feel that they're better than they are and they want to be playing for the team every single week. Now, if the manager isn't picking any of these modern footballers, what they tend to do is just simply go on strike and not want to play for the club, and they want to find a way out of the club rather than fight for their place at the club. It is shocking behaviour, and what Solskjaer has said here is very, very true. Solskjaer goes on in this interview and explains how he wanted to sign Jude Bellingham for Manchester United. "We wanted Jude Bellingham at Manchester United badly. He was one of my top targets at the club. Jude chose Dortmund and I respect that." There is no denying Solskjaer had an eye for talent and he had picked out top players to join Manchester United. Imagine if Jude Bellingham, Haaland, if all these players had joined Manchester United under the era of Solskjaer, our team would have been unstoppable. In this interview, Solskjaer is also asked about Jadon Sancho and what has been going on with him recently and what he thinks of everything. And Solskjaer responds, "He's immensely talented and we haven't seen the best of him. I hope we do, but he prefers to play left wing where Marcus Rashford plays." Now that's a really interesting admission to make by Solskjaer himself, where he's saying that Sancho prefers to play on the left wing where Marcus Rashford plays, but he doesn't want to play on the right wing where he was signed for. So why didn't Solskjaer make this clear to Jadon Sancho that he'd be signing for Manchester United to play on the right wing and not on the left wing? Was that even discussed with Jadon Sancho? And rightly so, he might not be happy at Manchester United playing on the right wing when he might have thought that he was going to be playing on the left wing. In this interview, Solskjaer was also asked about the Glazers and how he felt they were for the club and the ownership was for Manchester United. His response was very interesting, and what he said was, "In my conversations with them, they were honest and upfront. I had to be patient and mentally strong, and I was." Now, it's not very clear what Solskjaer has said here about the Glazers. Is he saying that they were upfront and honest about not having the money to spend on players, and that's why he had to be patient and mentally strong? And how have they backed the manager now? That's an interesting statement that he's made, but we'll have to see what else comes out of this interview. Solskjaer goes on in the interview to discuss Harry Kane and the whole saga this summer and him moving to Bayern Munich, and this is really, really interesting what he says about Harry Kane. "I would have signed Harry Kane every day of the week, and my understanding was that he wanted to come, but the club didn't have the budget with the financial constraints." So one thing clear about this interview with Solskjaer is that Manchester United and the Glazers refused to back any manager with the signings that they wanted. Clearly, Solskjaer had highlighted top players to sign like Jude Bellingham, like Erling Haaland, like Declan Rice, even Moises Caicedo. However, the board and more importantly the Glazers refused to back him, and this is why he was patient and mentally strong throughout that period of time whilst being a Manchester United manager, because he couldn't get his players that he wanted in. This interview by Solskjaer will no doubt put even more pressure on the Glazers to sell up and leave the club because of what he's saying. He's saying that they did not back him up to go out there and sign these big name players and put the money down when it was needed. They've signed players, but they've not signed the ones that he's been asking for. And yes, Declan Rice, if we had signed him back when Solskjaer wanted him, he would have cost half of what he's cost Arsenal right now. Solskjaer without a doubt has got great talent ID. If he had got some of these players in at Manchester United, we might have been looking at a completely different Manchester United right now. But it's really unfortunate that whilst these managers like Ten Hag, like Solskjaer and like the ones before have come in and wanted these big players, the Glazers clearly have not backed the managers and gone out there and bought these players. Talking about Harry Kane, we've actually heard from sources in the last couple of days that Harry Kane would have come to Manchester United and that was his preferred destination over Bayern Munich. The only reason why he ended up going to Bayern Munich is because Manchester United went and signed Rasmus Haaland and they did not make any contact with Harry Kane or his team to say that they wanted him. If that was the case and Man United had made contact with Harry Kane has suggested that he would have waited 1 year at Tottenham and then joined Manchester United the year after. Now, for whatever reason, the Harry Kane deal and signing did not happen and he went off to Bayern Munich. Most people know exactly why it didn't happen. We all know the Glazers did not want to spend that much money on Harry Kane, and we're hearing that Joel Glazer actually intervened and vetoed this whole signing of Harry Kane, even though he was Ten Hag's #1 target this summer transfer window. Ten Hag was asked about signing Harry Kane for Manchester United in yesterday's press conference, but he rebutted that by saying that we have got Rasmus Haaland and he's happy with Rasmus Haaland. But you know, deep down you could see on Ten Hag's face that he would have loved to have Harry Kane in that Manchester United team right now, and it would have solved so many issues right now. So moving away from this Solskjaer interview, which has been really interesting to read, it gives you a really deep insight and an insight to what's been going on behind the scenes at Manchester United for many years. One thing Solskjaer did confirm was that his #1 signing was that of Bruno Fernandes, and he was really happy with that, and most of us could agree that Bruno Fernandes has been a sensation since he's been at Old Trafford. So turning our attention to the pre-match press conference given by Ten Hag, who was joined by Andre Onana, he gave an interesting insight to what's going on at the club right now, and obviously Ten Hag deflected many questions about Harry Kane and discussed the injuries currently at Manchester United with 9 senior players out of the current squad and team, and that is difficult for him and any manager to cope with. But Ten Hag confirmed that he had enough players in the squad to choose from for tonight's game against Bayern Munich. Let's see what happens at this game tonight. It's going to be a very interesting game. Can Manchester United actually bounce back against Bayern Munich and get a result away from home? If they come out with a draw, I think most fans will be overjoyed by that result and bring in Bayern Munich home and see if they can do a better job at home. You know Manchester United are not currently in good form. Bayern will know this as well. They'll know Manchester United are not performing and have not been playing well. Bayern have got a crazy home record. They haven't lost for crazy amount of games. I don't even know how many numbers of games there are, but they haven't lost for a long time. So given that Manchester United are not in top form, they're going to find it very difficult to go there tonight and beat Bayern Munich. But I don't know, I've got this strange feeling that Manchester United might go out there and pull out a result tonight. I'm really confused, but I don't know why, but I get this feeling that Manchester United could go there and get a massive result against Bayern Munich tonight, against the odds, against all what we're expecting. They might go in there tonight and get a result. Please drop your comments below on what you think is going to happen tonight. Who do you think is going to win? By what score? Give us your score predictions and tell us what you think would be the best lineup Manchester United could use against Bayern Munich. Now, talking about lineups, I think Manchester United are going to stay the same as they were in the weekend's game against Brighton. Yes, call me crazy, but I think Manchester United are going to stick to the same team that they played against Brighton. We all know Ten Hag doesn't like switching things up a lot, but I think that's what he's going to go with. I think he's going to stick to the team as it was and see what they do, and he might make some changes later on. Now, what Ten Hag could do is take out Eriksen and put in someone like Garnacho or Pellistri to give us that pace down the wings. It's going to be really interesting to see what Ten Hag does with his team and how he sets it up tonight, because what they don't want to do is lose early goals in the game tonight. What they want to do is keep Bayern at bay for as long as possible and try and nick a goal if possible. That is the way Ten Hag should be looking to set up his team, and that's why we think that he's going to play a much more of a defensive game, keep McTominay in there, keep Casemiro in there to provide that defensive cover. And once United can win the ball back, they can have an outlet in Rashford and another right winger and allow Manchester United to counter-attack if possible. Hopefully the Man United players can give us a huge reaction today from that loss against Brighton on the weekend and go out there and really play some serious football and win against Bayern Munich. That is the hope, and that's what we're all wishing for. So let's wait and see. Man United always do well in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, and Man United are the team that could go out there and upset Bayern Munich today and give them their first loss at home in a long time. Please make sure you hit that like button on the video, and if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe. You are watching the Man United Streamer channel by the fans for the fans.